Well, hey everybody, welcome to episode 20 of Totally Amazing Mushrooms. And Happy New Year! Feliz Año Nuevo! S Novim Godom! We got a great show today. It's a little misty, and the weather, she be a-changin'. But it hasn't snowed yet, so we can still find some fungal buddies out there. And we're going to be checking out one that we've only just touched on in previous videos. And we're going to get a little bit more into depth into that one. And we've got several others to showcase for you. So, come for a walk with us, see what we can see. Well, what have we got on the other side of this loggy here? This olivey cap looking thing. Let me climb over this thing without breaking my face, and we'll have a little chat about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Callistosporium luteal olivaceum, the white-spored hollow-stiped saprotrope that loves conifers. Alright, so yeah, this guy is called the olive lute, and there's probably about 25 different species in this genus here, and growing. Actually, they found one in the Himalayas, one in Turkey, and I think they found one in Pakistan. So yeah, 25 different species in that genus. And this guy's actually not really all that common. I'm getting attacked by a rose bush here. It's always some kind of bush that's attacking me. Okay, alright, sorry about that. Back in the 1860s sometime there, got thrown into the Agaricus genus. Why? Because it's a guild mushroom. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Anyways, Moses Berkeley and Miles Curtis, remember them? They described the witch's butter. Moses and Miles, Miles and Moses. Which one is which? Nobody knows. Anyways, doesn't matter, because 1950 along came Mr. Rolf Singer, and he scooted it over to the Callistosporium genus. So yeah, they've got a white spore print, and they've got this like a yellowy, mustardy kind of gills, and you can see that they're not attached. Hoping the camera's going to catch that up there. And it's got a hollow stipe. I kind of destroyed it actually, pulling it up, but my mistake, I'm sorry. Not really known if it's edible. Hey, baby girl. And because it's not really known if it's edible, there's no lab reports as of yet. However, they have found them, like I said, in the Himalayan mountains in Pakistan, in their pine forests, and these guys like their conifers. They're also in Europe, too. These guys are actually part of the Tricholomatacea family. So they're related to the Matsutake, the Tricholoma marillianum, and the Colibia nuda, the wood bluet. So they're related to those guys, believe it or not. Kind of weird, eh? They are doing DNA testing on these guys, and microscopic investigations too, as we speak. We's just gots to be patient. But yeah, very happily growing on this old dead conifer here. They like well-rotted trees too, which this one is very well-rotted. Moss is quite taken over here, but yeah, they're really, really neat looking. Love these guys. Love these guys. They almost kind of look like it's almost in the right light, it almost looks kind of coppery kind of color. Neat on their stipe. Cool. The olive lute. Callistosporium luteal olivaceum. Oh, we've talked about these guys before. These are the Lacaria laccatus. And hey, we can see there's one guy here that's on the side. You can see how far apart their gills are. We talked about these guys, and they use them in forestry, and they introduce the mycelium into the sapling's roots. And they establish their mycorrhizal connection early on, and it gives them a head start before they stick them out into the forest. So yeah, that's awesome. Now, some of the bigger ones, there's a look-alike, only it's bigger, and it's Lacaria nobilis. And this possibly could be them. I don't know. They've got all the same characteristics, except they're larger. They do say that they're normally at a higher elevation, though, too. And we are only about 50 feet above sea level, so Hard to say on that one, but I'm pretty sure that they're just the licatas. This one's pretty, they're fairly small. I have seen up in the mountains, though, I have seen larger ones, like a good, I would say twice, 3 times this size even. They get quite large, and those ones I'm pretty positive are the nobilis. Those are the ones I've seen up in the mountains and whatnot, but yeah, pretty sure these are the licatas. The forest is alive with juncos today. They're everywhere flying around. They were all over the ground here a second ago, but I came around the corner and they all almost sounded like a bunch of bush chickens flying away. I love my little songbirdies. It's getting a little bit windy. It's starting to cool down. Wow. These are Lucaria bicolor. Those guys have been sitting around for quite a long time. And you will find that these guys, you're going to find their kind of carcasses out in the forest all over the place. These guys are very, very durable. Kind of like the Leucopaxillus, those albissimus. They're still going, if you can believe that. So, and actually, we'll be coming up on those. I'll give you a shot of them. They're starting to turn a little bit, not so whitish anymore, but we'll get to them. These are other long lasters too. These are the Inocybe geophyllus. These guys will just keep going. Yeah, they're winter does not slow these guys down, apparently. There's more of them. These are some of the fiber caps, and yeah, they're toxic, so stay away from them. We did quite a bit on 3 of them there a few episodes ago. Here's another long laster. These are the Cystodermas, Cystoderma amianthinum. Yeah, they're still going strong everywhere I see out in the forest. So new ones cropping up all the time. But yeah, but right over here, look at this. These are the albissimus. A couple of finally starting to go back into nature, but the other ones are still chugging along. And I believe when they're brand new white, they show up under UV light as blue, but these guys won't any longer. Here's another old slimy Gonfidius, hideous Gonfidius. Yeah, these guys got a bunch of dirt in the top of them. It's not part of a slime, but this is really, really slickery here. This guy will have a yellow stipe. I'm not going to dig him up. We've gone over these guys before, but just remember, these guys can absorb toxins. Yes, they are edible, but you got to know where to harvest. Don't harvest at any industrial sites or don't harvest in any industrial sites or old gas stations or anything like that. I should do a video on where not to harvest. I think that might be in the future, actually. Either way, let's leave this slimy fella behind and we'll move on. And these guys are who I was talking about that we're going to delve a little deeper into. These are the turkey tails, Trametes versicolor. Yeah, okay, so these guys are just inhabiting this alder tree here, this Alnus rubra. And these guys kind of they'll do a dry out cycle, and then they'll start to puff up and start to resporulate. They just go through different little cycles. So I'm just trying to get my camera set up here. That's kind of, there we go. So yeah, these guys are just absolutely amazing in the medicinal world. And this is why I wanted to talk about these guys, is because we'd only just touched on them before, just saying, well, they're very medicinal, they're the most researched mushroom in the world. And yeah, they are, because there's a lot of reasons for it. But these guys were originally put in the Boletus genus in 1750s by Carl Linnaeus. But 70 years later, our Autobot friend there, Elias Magnus Fries, described it as Polyporus versicolor. But then, of course, there's always somebody that sneaks in there and wants to make it their own. So along comes the French mycologist Lucien Calais, and he called it Colorius versicolor. But, there's always so many different synonyms for these guys, but finally our American mycologist Curtis Gates Lloyd gave it the binomial name it has today, Trametes versicolor. And of course versicolor means many colors, and you can see the rings that they have on them. They're just, it's one of their telltale signs of what you've got. Plus, like I said, they're a polypore. You can see this beautiful pore surface here, and this is where all their spores are produced. And they're just, just little tiny pores, and polypore means many pores, as I'd mentioned. And they're white rot decayer. They're going to be always on hardwoods. They're going to be chowing down on the lignin in these guys, and to some extent the cellulose. Thanks for bumping the camera there, baby girl. That's okay. Wow. She's been kind of wet. But yeah, this one has been totally used a lot in traditional medicines for the ages. Like China in particular, they've been using them for thousands of years. And of course there are a bunch of lookalikes. So this fungi has polysaccharides in them, which we know, and lots of them, and lots of different types. They got the beta-glucans. They got polysaccharide crestin in it. It's got heteropolysaccharides. It's got homogeneous polysaccharides. All of these different saccharides that I'm talking about do different things. But we'll only go through a few of these, but there are actually a plethora of polysaccharides in them. And they all have different benefits. Okay, so the polysaccharide crestin is used a lot in Asia, mostly in conjunction with chemotherapy and radiotherapies against certain cancers. And some like breast cancer and liver cancer, colorectal, I think lung too, actually, and definitely leukemia. But with that, they also produce loads of sterols, ergosterols. They produce proteins and triterpenoids and flavonoids and bioactive peptides. They've extracted something like 16 different compounds from the mycelium alone, just the mycelium, and 25 different biocompounds from the fruit bodies. So it's just all the way through this little fungi here are all kinds of benefits. Just like a lot of plants, you've got more stuff in, say, the flower, or you've got more stuff in the leaves, you got more stuff in their roots. They're the same kind of thing, the mycelial and the basidiocarps, their fruiting body. Now their sterols and their triterpenoids, and their flavonoids, they're all helpful in our GI health. So they kind of work like a prebiotic, and they also protect our heart. So, which is just a bonus because there's a lot of there's a large population with heart disease in the world. They've got they've got anti-tumor and antioxidants. So they're going to keep our fat balance in order in our bloodstream. They're going to regulate our immune system. So, and they're loaded with vitamins and minerals. Now, from the mycelium alone, they've extracted vitamin A. They've been extracted several of the Bs, like the 1, 2, and 6. There's vitamin C in there. They've got ergosterols. So, you're going to get your vitamin D from that. They're going to produce that. And there's vitamin E as well. Now, I've talked about before about beta-glucans. Now, they've got quite a few of these in their fruiting body. And they're antioxidant and anti-tumor. And they can also be, they can regulate our immune system. And protect our liver, and I believe in the fruit body there, those beta-glucans can also be antibacterial. Wow, okay, so now the heteropolysaccharides, we're going to get into those a little bit. These are in the fruit bodies, okay? They're going to protect your heart, they're antimicrobial, and they're just a huge spectrum of antioxidant benefits. It's just crazy. The homogeneous polysaccharides are anti-cancerous. They aid in our cell division. So, our cells go through mitosis and that kind of thing to regenerate, and because, things like, say, our skin cells, we completely shed all of our skin cells and replace them completely over a certain period of time. I don't remember the actual time period. But other mycelial bioactives they have in these guys, I just remembered. Anti-malignant and anti-melanoma. So also the anti-inflammatories that are in these guys. They help with our heart. They help with water retention. They also aid in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which we've talked about those in the Saccharomyces certina, the late fall oysters. Those guys are really have awesome benefits for the NAFLD, as it were. But honestly, if you want to wild forage for just the health benefits, this one is definitely your go-to. They're easy to find. They're everywhere on the hardwoods, and you're finding them on the dead hardwoods. And well, it's starting to rain again. The camera's getting wet. And they're easy to dry. Or you can use them fresh. It doesn't matter. You can even throw them on a plate. Just throw them in your cupboard where it's nice and dry and dark, and they're going to dehydrate really great. It's just, you can put them in teas and tinctures, and you can add them into soups and stews. Doesn't matter. The big thing with them is you have to break up the cell walls. Don't forget, these guys have, like all the mushrooms, one of their main components is chitin, which is the same substance in lobster and crab shells and things like that. And we cannot break that down. So we have to physically break it down in a blender, break down the cell walls and all that kind of thing. One of our totally amazing mushroomers out there actually told me their health regimen, and they take turkey tail, they take reishi, and they take chaga. They boil it up, take the whole thing, the water, all the stuff, throw it in a blender, and they mix it into a big slurry, and then they put it into like their oatmeal. They can put it into smoothies, they can put it into anything they want. And that is the best way that I can think of on how to do that, to get the benefits out of them and the full use of them. Is, like I said, you got to break up that cell wall, and you blend the heck out of them after you boil them. All the juices in there and all that, it's all perfect. So that is one way to do it. But I mean, I'm a tea guy, so I quite often do my teas and all that kind of thing. So, but just awesome. Now, of course, I've got my comparisons. We have here Trichaptum abietnum, which looks very similar, but these guys grow on conifers. And these guys are also the purple pore polypore, or purple pore bracket. These guys, as they get older, and this one's kind of done, they go kind of brown colored, so you can see. But he was a beautiful, almost a magenta, but also a polypore, as you can see. And these guys will get green algae on their surface quite often. Sometimes the turkey tail will as well. But these guys are more drab kind of colors. And like I said, it grows on conifers. Now these guys were originally described by, what was his name? Oh yeah, James J. Dixon. He sounds like I don't know, something out of Marvel. James Jameson. That was in the late 1700s. And again, he called it Boletus abietnus. And then, of course, it was redescribed later as Trichaptum abietnum in, I don't know, like early 1970s or something like that by Leif Rundolf Rivarden. And yeah, that is a classic Viking name, man. Leif Rundolf Rivarden. But yeah, he was a Norwegian mycologist, so hey, funny how that works. But UBC, the University of British Columbia, has been doing studies on these guys too. And these also have anti-inflammatory properties, and they've got compounds that stop cell death. Even programmed cell death, like I was talking about, the shedding of our skin cells and whatnot, those are programmed to die and then shed off. These can actually reduce that. And I think they also have immunoregulatory properties as well as anti-tumor. Now, they're too fibery to eat, and you'd have to grind them up, and you could make them into a tea or whatever, but either way. But yeah, so yeah, that's the Trichaptum abietnum. Now, you'd think that I'd talked enough, but you'd be wrong, see? Because here we have the false turkey tail, the Sterium hirsutum, another look-alike of the turkey tail, also liking alders, the Alnus rubra. But this one is a crust fungus. He does not have a pore surface. See how nice and smooth that is without those little tiny pores all over him? But super pretty. Outside and inside. Yes, they have a crap ton of beneficial properties to them. You know, again, okay, so we're antimicrobial, and especially in the methicillin-resistant Staphylococcal aureus. Anti-TB. They've got oxysterols in them that are anti-TB. They're also antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, as they've got flavonoids and sesquiterpenes in them, just like the turkey tail does, you know, like I'd mentioned before. And these guys are showing huge promise in fighting certain cancers and neurodegenerative disorders. So all three of these beautiful lookalikes, let me grab our trichamptum. So all three of these beautiful lookalikes are non-toxic, so you'd be okay if you mixed them up. It's not a big deal. And they have many, many similar health benefits to them. So, long live the wood-dwelling brackets! Yeah, I tell you, this year has been, this fall has been so abundant on the mushrooms that I've gotten to the point now where I've been basically picking the mushrooms, bringing them out, making sure that there's a little bit of mycelium at the base of their stipe, and I've been transplanting it out into areas that I know that they're not living. And I've been doing this for actually 2 years. And last year I put out an old Cantharellus formosus, the chanterelles, and in this area here, and wouldn't you know it, and I let them to go to mush, but here's one that started growing this year, and I have not seen one here ever. So, but they do grow in the vicinity, just not on this chunk of my property until now. So there is something to taking their base of their stipes that have little bits of mycelium, or just even taking them, the mushroom itself, making it into a slurry and spewing it out into the forest. I know that a couple of our amazing subscribers do that, actually. I've been told on the comment section, which is awesome. So any way that you can do to proliferate our fungal buddies, especially the edible ones, I say go for it. Out here was a whole bunch of Russula brevipeas growing, and I've never had lobster mushrooms grow in this area. So this year, I think I should actually put that in one of my earlier videos. I started taking chunks of all my lobster mushrooms and putting them out here. So yeah, so fingers crossed, and we'll see what happens next year. But yeah, right on. Is that the... Oh my goodness. He still hasn't completely degraded. This mass of primordial ooze here is actually the Gymnopolis. These guys are the Jumbo Gyms. We did a video on them. And yeah, wow man, that was like months and months ago. Just amazing. I don't even want to touch it, it just looks grody, but either way, moving on. Well, would you looky here, growing on this old 6x6 here. It's we've got some little bird's nests. Now we did the Nidula candida a couple episodes ago, and those guys have a kind of a brown, woolly kind of exterior to them. These guys have more of a kind of a orangey yellow. I'm stuck on a stick here. Kind of a, if you can see that, they're kind of a pale color to them. And they're about half the size of the Candida. Now it's a very good possibility that this is Nidula niviotomentosa, but it also could be Crucibulum crucibuliforme. Those are the two that are possibles in the nidulas there. Now in we'll just say 1900s, I can't remember exactly, I think it's 1902, but a lady named Violet S. White, she took the nidulas and separated them with the ones that had little cords or funiculi, and separated them into the Crucibuliforme and the Cyathus genus. Now, she's got a first name and a last name that are colors, which is very interesting. I wonder if her middle name, S, stands for like saffron or sienna. Wouldn't that be epic? And that would also mean that maybe her parents didn't like her very much. Nonetheless. Now, the Crucibulum crucibuliforme has what they call a funiculus, which is a little cord that's attached to the peridials, which are the little eggs, and there's most of these vacated, but it looks like this guy's got some in him there. Now, there are other ones, the Cyathus genus, the striatus. That one is very obvious. The insides of it are very striated. There's the Cyathus alla, which grows in dirt. And then there's the Cyathus stercoreus, which actually grows in Pupita milo. So it's not any of those, and they do have a funiculus attached to their peridials, but they're longer than the Crucibulum. So we're not quite sure what these guys are. I'm going to take one inside with us at some point here, and we're going to take our needles and tweezers, and we're going to try and extract one of these peridials and see if there is a cord on them. If there's not one there, we know it's Nidula niviotomentosa. And if it has a small little cord on it, we know it's Crucibulum crucibuliforme. And we have a raven visitor here. Corvus corax principalis is our northern raven. Nonetheless, sorry, I got sidetracked there. So those, like I said, those Cyathus have different traits to these ones, that is for sure. But these are really, really I just love the bird's nest. They're just such a different kind of looking fungus. If this is the Niviotomentosa, those guys are actually related to the Agaricus and Lepiodas, quite closely actually, as well as to the gastrums, you know, the earth balls and earth stars and whatnot. Now, there is another really neat kind of bird's nest one, and it's definitely not this one. It only has one single peridial in it, but it's a Spherobolus stellatus, and it's got one single peridial in it, and it's about 1 millimeter wide, and it actually fires it out like a pirate's cannon. You know, it's just so really neat. Either way, that's not this one, obviously, and they're kind of hard to find. They're pretty small as well. But we're going to take one of these inside, and we're going to see if we can get one of these peridials out. So, we have our tools. We got a couple of pins, and we've got our tweezers. Alright, so this is probably going to be a process, so bear with me, and I may end up editing a bunch of it out because I'm sure I'm going to have a few fail attempts. You can see they're in a gel. Oh, okay, I've got one on the tip here. And you can see how tiny these guys are. Now, I did not find anything attached to it, but that was just one, so I'll take out a couple more. Yeah, none of them seem to be attached to any cord. They're just got that gel that they live in, basically. I've got one on the very tip of this pin. You can kind of maybe see it there. So yeah, I'm going to have to say that this is Nidula niviotomentosa. So here's a close-up of the peridials with my camera zoomed in on them. You saw how tiny they were on the very pinprick there, on the end of the pin. And definitely no signs of any kind of little cord or anything like that. But wow, man, that's I never even thought to zoom in with my phone and bring it up close. Hopefully it's not shaking too much. Well, it is, so my apologies. And another thing with the Niviotomentosa is you can see the inside goes kind of an orangey color, orangey yellow, whereas the sides are kind of white, palish white, kind of almost a cream kind of color. So, wow. So there we have it, folks. Well, alright everybody, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so very much for watching, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. And until next time, my friends, take care now.